Welcome back, everybody, to Heintz Sight, and this is officially episode 26 for your Tuesday. What's the date today? Is it August 10th today? August 10th, for your Tuesday, August 10th. I'm so bad with my dates a lot whenever, I'm not, if I just don't really have a whole lot going on, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times I forget what day it is. I forget the date. But anyway, this is Tuesday, August 10th, in Heintz Sight, episode 26. And so I thank you all for tuning back into the channel here, tuning back into the show. We got some things uncovered, man. It's going to be probably a little bit of a longer show than it was yesterday, possibly. But anyway, hopefully you guys are having a good Tuesday. Yesterday, we talked about... we talked about the Hall of Fame game. We broke that down a little bit, best we could, considering I didn't watch the game. We went into some Pirate talk and, Hoyt Park, the possible, what are we looking at next year in regards of, the lineup, pitching, all those things. We really kind of get in the nitty-gritty of that. So if you guys are interested in any of that in our Hall of Fame breakdown in regards of, talking about some of the news coming out of the Hall of Fame game or anything like that, feel free to check that out. That was uploaded yesterday. But yeah, so today, pretty much, we're going to be talking some NBA free agency. We're going to be talking some NFL news. There's not really a whole lot going on in NHL. There might be a thing or two. It's been pretty dry in regards of hockey lately. And MLB, there's not really any news coming out of MLB necessarily, but, the season's, still underway. We got teams still battling out in the NL West. We still got some teams battling out in the AL East. We'll kind of go over the standings where teams are sitting at and things like that. So we got a little bit more to get into, I think, than we did yesterday. But we're going to hit the intro here real quick for your Tuesday episode of In Heintz Sight, and we'll see you back on the other side. Oh, man. Man, oh, man, oh, man. If you guys hear anything, it's been storming here today, so you come back from Ocean City, nice and sunny, just a great time, and we come back here to a downpour today. Nothing new here in Pittsburgh. It's either raining, it's either overcast. That's really what it is for the most part, or it's kind of humid and hot out, so it's one of the three during this time of the year. But fall cannot get here soon enough. I love fall. Fall is my favorite time of the year. Can't get here soon enough there's nothing like a nice, cool, crisp fall night. Maybe you have a bonfire going on, couple drinks, hoodie weather. I love it. I love fall season, man. The changing of the leaves, it's absolutely beautiful. But if you guys hear anything in the background, it's thunderstorming outside, so there you go. But anyway, we're back here after that intro, after hitting the intro and everything like that. So let's dive right into it, folks. We're going to talk about some NBA free agency. There's been some signings, some big things that have happened in the NBA over the last week and a half. So the LA Lakers, are really gearing up and loading up all they can to really make a strong run this season after a very disappointing, upsetting year this past year, losing to the Suns in the first round, which I was very happy to see. But the Lakers, very interesting, man. They traded for Russell Westbrook, and this is going to be an interesting dynamic here. When we look at the Lakers roster right now, the Lakers definitely have they probably have the oldest team in the NBA, to be honest with you. They just signed Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony teaming up with LeBron, I feel like was a long time coming. Probably should have. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to happen when they joined the Heat. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Carmelo Anthony joining the Heat, but it didn't work out with Carmelo, and Miami went after Chris Bosh. I'm pretty sure that was the plan, but it was a long time coming for Melo to join the Lakers. I've always been a Melo fan. I've always enjoyed him throughout his time with the Nuggets and even on the Knicks. And Carmelo Anthony still shows, man, he can still score, he can still ball. So probably being a role player for the Lakers and things like that at this point in his career can definitely bring some scoring off the bench that the Lakers definitely needed. But let's just dive into this Russell Westbrook deal right here, man. Now I'm gonna look this up real quick because I don't want to leave out any player in regards of who the Wizards landed. So we know Westbrook, he's 32 and everything like that. So so last year he averaged 22 points, 11.5 rebounds, 11.5 assists. That's amazing. Man, Russell Westbrook's talent, I think, is very underappreciated. Russell Westbrook, I think, is personally one of the best athletes I've watched as long as I've watched the NBA for. I definitely think he's one of the best point guards over the last 10 years or so in this league. And he's just a triple-double machine, man. He's very athletic. He's very good at getting to the rim. He's not the best shooter, but he's a great passer. I think, in my opinion, I think that he's a pretty solid passer. And so this is definitely going to do the Lakers really well. It's obviously a big upgrade over Dennis Schroeder. It's a big upgrade, I think, overall in the starting lineup. And he definitely brings, I think, more athleticism, a much more physical presence than what the Lakers have had. And, he's going to be able to really kind of help carry the load as well if LeBron's, maybe out or getting some rest. Or we know Anthony Davis has had some injury issues over the last few years, and we really kind of know throughout his career as well he's not always the healthiest player. But this was definitely a great landing for the Lakers. We knew, the Wizards aren't going anywhere, man. You might as well move Russell Westbrook. He wanted to go back to the Lakers. I believe he's from LA, and this was a good move for them. Now, let's see, is it going to say here who they all sent over? Because I don't want to forget anybody. We know they moved Kyle Kuzma. No, it's not going to say on here. Now, I feel like a complete freaking idiot for not remembering everybody they moved here, but I don't want to give you false information here. So, okay. So they traded a first-round pick. They're also receiving Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Montrezl Harrell. Okay. Well, for the Wizards, I don't really think any of those guys are future pieces for them to build around. I kind of like Montrezl Harrell, but I guess really the first-round pick is kind of really what you were looking for, which they got in the draft this year. So I don't know, man. I mean, if you're the Wizards, Westbrook, he's 31, 32, And so, it is what it is. The Wizards aren't going anywhere. And, Kyle Kuzma, maybe this might be a better situation for him. He had some promise early on there in his career, but hasn't really done anything the last 2 or 3 years. KCP, he's kind of a role player at best. And Montrezl Harrell, I do like him, but this isn't really much in regards of return for the Wizards in regards of really building toward the future for them, in my opinion. But anyway, Russell Westbrook officially with the LA Lakers. This happened, I believe this happened last weekend or early last week. Obviously, I wasn't able to report on it, so I am now. But definitely a good move for the Lakers, and also as well with Carmelo Anthony. I think that he's definitely going to add some nice scoring off the bench for them. Now, we know Chris Paul officially re-signed with the Suns on a 3-year deal, which is what the Suns needed to do. The Suns needed to bring him back. They needed to bring him back and, really kind of bring back the team they had. I mean, why wouldn't you? If you're going to lose a guy like Chris Paul, you don't have anybody to replace him. You're getting worse as a team, and this guy turned everything around. You had to bring him back. But what the Suns really need to do is the Suns, they brought back Campaign as well. They re-signed him. What they need to do, though, they need to look into free agency and really get more physical. They need to get bigger. That's my view on what the Suns need to do from a free agency standpoint. I think you need to replace a Jay Crowder in the lineup, personally. I think Jay Crowder, he does offer things to any kind of team he goes on. He's not a bad player at all, but I just feel like, me personally, you need somebody or even if you replace a Mikal Bridges, which I don't necessarily think you really need to do that. Mikal Bridges has kind of been a nice guy there in the lineup for them. He didn't have a very good finals at all. But I think really Crowder's that guy the Suns should replace in the lineup. And the reason why is because I think you need somebody that's bigger. I think you need somebody that is, that's a guy that isn't just a perimeter shooter in that lineup. And, Jay Crowder is a good defender, but you need to have bigger physicality down there with Ayton, man. And we saw that in the finals. The Bucks just ripped through everybody. The Suns don't have size. They have speed, sure. They have good shooting, sure. They have some nice defensive guys. Bridges, Crowder, Cameron Payne can play some defense. Ayton's obviously, the big guy down there. But you need to look at a free agency and find somebody that you can really pair with Ayton down there to really, be a bigger body, to, that you can really match up in regards of, if we're looking at the Bucks series. I'm not saying Giannis necessarily, but a Bobby Portis, a Middleton, maybe a bigger guy that isn't just maybe a big, that he can defend well in the post, but he can also defend well possibly, as a stretch guy. But that's what you need. The Suns can't just be going after all these shooters and things like that and all these, no. You need somebody who, can anchor down low, a bigger body, offers physicality, can match up with really anybody that's a forward, a bigger guy going forward, and a guy a big guy as well that you can rely on down in the post, a guy that you can rely on, to give you those 15, 20-foot jump shots maybe, or, can get to the basket. Jay Crowder isn't that kind of guy because you got Devin Booker, who's a wing guy, right, who's a good shooter. You got Mikal Bridges, who, he's not really a get-to-the-basket guy. Really, all you have is DeAndre Ayton. Jay Crowder's not that. Jay Crowder's always hanging around the three-point arc. So, and I understand the game of the NBA has changed over the years. It's a lot of shooting, a lot of stretch forwards in regards to bigger guys. But you need a bigger guy in that lineup, that starting lineup that can get to the bucket, that can, sure, he can maybe play some stretch, sure, can maybe knock down some 15, 20-foot jump shots. You have enough shooting on the team. You need a guy that's different, that can, offer something else than just that. And that's all Jay Crowder was. It was three-point shooting from him, nothing else, and, can play some defense. You need an upgrade over that. That's just my opinion for the Suns. But they brought back Chris Paul, which was definitely needed. Now, looking at the rest of free agency, some moves that were interesting was Lonzo Ball to the Bulls, a sign and trade, and DeMar DeRozan is with the Bulls. Now, Chicago might be interesting next year, man. Let's look up the Bulls roster right now. Okay? We're going to look up the Bulls roster, and let's look at this team. I feel like this team can definitely be an under-the-radar team, possibly. Let's see here. Billy Donovan, the head coach. All right, so Al-Farouq Aminu. I didn't know he was still playing, to be honest with you. Holy smokes. All right, so Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine, I think, is an underrated player. Obviously, you have a guy like that. You bring in Lonzo Ball to pair with him, and then you bring in DeMar DeRozan. Okay, so you're probably going to implement those guys in your lineup. You also have Kobe White as a guard as well, and you have Nikola Vukovic. Thaddeus Young, I had no idea he was on the Bulls. I had no idea he was still playing, to be honest. But, you look at a Denzel Valentine. They still got Lowry marking in. I'm pretty sure he's a free agent, though. Is he a free agent? He averaged 13 and 5 pretty much. Got a guy like Denzel Valentine off the bench, I guess. Kobe White, 15 and 5. That's not bad. Nikola Vukovic, 20 and 11. So you got a guy like Vukovic who's there. Okay, you got a guy like Thaddeus Young, who I guess you could play in your lineup, or maybe you could bring him off the bench. Kobe White, I definitely think Kobe White, moving forward, he definitely needs to be in that starting lineup every day, every night. So if you have like Kobe White in your lineup, you implement maybe Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, Vukovic, and, maybe Markkanen or... I don't know. I mean, and you have Zach LaVine, too. I mean, Zach LaVine's almost averaging 30 points a game. So, here's the thing. Like, I think with the Bulls definitely have a handful of guys, I think, that they can really use in their lineup. Like, I feel like Chicago could definitely go different ways about their starting lineup now with these guys. Obviously, you're going to have Levine in your starting lineup. You're going to probably have Kobe White in your starting lineup. So what are you going to do with Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan, right? I really don't know. And it's definitely an interesting concept to see. But Chicago definitely could make, sense as a, they could definitely, sorry, this is really uncomfortable right here. Chicago could definitely be a team that's kind of overlooked, maybe a little under the radar kind of team going into this year. So those aren't necessarily bad moves for them in regards of free agency this year. Jarrett Allen got a huge-ass contract with the Cavs. Trevor Ariza back to the Lakers. How many times has this guy been on the Lakers? He's another guy that might be able to provide some nice bench depth. He averaged about 10 points and 4 boards last year. Who else we got? Kent Bazemore signed with the Lakers, so he'll probably be a backup there in regards of a guard or forward, swingman. Who else we also got here that made some big signing? Alex Caruso, we know he's officially gone. So the Lakers, they lost him. So he's a goner. He's also going to Chicago on a 4-year, $37 million deal. So obviously the Westbrook news was definitely the biggest news in regards to free agency. John Collins got a big year. I believe he got a 5-year, $120 million deal. John Collins is a really nice player. Mike Conley's re-signing with Utah. Who else we got here? We know Kyle Lowry went to Miami, which is definitely interesting for the Heat, man. Goran Dragic has had a nice career with the Heat, and ever since he got there in 2015. But Kyle Lowry, 35 years old, Kyle Lowry's made a really good name for himself. I remember when he was on Memphis and he was a backup, and just seeing, how he's kind of come into himself over the years and won a championship with Toronto. Kind of an underappreciated point guard, I feel like, over the years. So Miami got a veteran guy in him to pair with Jimmy Butler, who they just gave a big-ass extension to the other day. You got Bam Adebayo. Andre Iguodala went back to the Warriors. So I'm going to pull up the Heat roster here in a minute because the Heat, we know the Heat lost in the first round. I believe they got swept this past year. But, the Heat can definitely be... They could definitely be a top 3 team in the East, I think, this year. Let me pull up the Heat lineup here. Reggie Jackson, I believe, he's set to return to the Clippers, I guess, which is definitely a good move for the Clippers. They could definitely use him as that starting point guard. I'd imagine Kawhi Leonard. We know he opted out. Let me see. Has there been any news lately on Kawhi Leonard? Let me see. So, I definitely expect Kawhi Leonard probably, so this was 3 days ago. He's set to re-sign with the Clippers. I don't think those numbers in that contract has been settled as official. But having Kawhi Leonard back healthy to pair with Paul George, I like Zubac there for the Clippers. I think he had a nice showing in the playoffs. Bring back Reggie Jackson. Definitely the right move for the Clippers there. Let me look up the Heat roster here. Okay, so the Heat, I personally think they definitely upgraded with Kyle Lowry. I do. So we got Bam Adebayo, who's definitely an underrated big man in the league. They got Jimmy Butler, who just signed, I believe he just signed another 3-year extension with the Heat, if I'm not mistaken. So he's with the Heat long term. You got Tyler Hero, who was complete ass this past year. But there's still some promise for him, coming off the bench. He wasn't anything impressive. Kyle Lowry obviously taking over starting point guard there. They just signed Markieff Morris from the Lakers. So he only played in like 4 games, I guess, last year. So he didn't really get much time there. They did bring back Victor Oladipo. Duncan Robinson's still there. They did bring in PJ Tucker. So, this Heat team, we're looking at Kyle Lowry. I would like to see, to be honest with you, I'd like to see Victor Oladipo plugged into that starting lineup. I think Victor Oladipo If it wasn't for injuries, he's really not a bad guy. He's definitely a guy that's going to get you probably between 17 to 21 points a game. So if you have Kyle Lowry in there, who is definitely an upgrade over Goran Dragic, still at this point in his career, I think. Not that Dragic's no slouch, but Kyle Lowry definitely, I think, was a good signing for the Heat to really kind of upgrade their point guard. And then you have Victor Oladipo, who, when he's healthy, he can definitely put up 17, 20 points easily, average that. So if you plug him in there to the 2, got Jimmy Butler there at the 3. You got Bam Adebayo. Maybe you play if you want to plug PJ Tucker in there, or maybe Duncan Robinson. Whatever you want to do. You have Tyler Hero come off the bench. You could have, you got Dwayne Dedmon coming off the bench, Markieff Morris coming off the bench. So that's really not bad. And I think looking at this team, this can definitely make for a top 3, top 4 Eastern Conference team. I definitely think this team can definitely compete with a Philly, maybe a Milwaukee for sure. Not saying the Heat are going to go to the finals next year, but I think that Miami could definitely be a team to look out for next year. So I definitely like what they've done in free agency this year. But pretty interesting NBA free agency, obviously with Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, topping it off, Kyle Lowry going to the Heat, some of the moves the Bulls made. We know Leonard's set to re-sign with the Clippers, which I think was really expected for the most part. It'll definitely be interesting, man. And to be honest with you, like I said, I'm not a big NBA guy. I've told you this, guys, for as long as I've been doing this podcast for. I'm not a big NBA guy anymore. I'm not. I've honestly have hated the NBA over the last several years. This was the first year I really took the time to watch every round of the playoffs this year, and it was a breath of fresh air for sure. So, obviously being on this podcast and everything like that, I'll definitely be covering the NBA and news coming out and what's happening and stuff like that. I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to watch the NBA, every single night or any of these different games. Probably not. I might watch, you might see me check in and maybe some bigger games or interesting matchups, but I'll be reporting it here on the channel, but it's obviously not my number one priority in regards of watching NBA games. But I wanted to go over quickly, a little bit of the NBA free agency. Now, also, we had Trae Young and Luka Doncic sign big $200 million deals, extensions. The thing with Trae Young, man, Trae Young's 22 years old. Trae Young just signed a $200 million deal. By the time that deal expires, Trae Young's probably going to be, 27, 28? So he's going to get another mega contract. And by the time that's over, he'll probably be in his mid-30s. And he'll probably get another big-ass contract. So Trae Young, outside sponsorships and things like that, Trae Young's really setting himself up here for, he's going to be absolutely loaded by the time his career's over. So they signed big-ass contracts, which I think was expected. If you're the Hawks or the Mavs, you obviously got to do things like that. But that's kind of really the news in the NBA right now, coming out of free agency. And, man, I used to be, I used to love NBA free agency back in the day, man. I was always so excited for the draft, and it's just how I am. I'm just not a big NBA fan anymore, guys. That's the thing, and I don't have that excitement anymore about it or how it used to be. That's just me. But like I said, I'll still be here reporting about it, talking about it. Now, let's transition to hockey. I know I said in the intro, it hasn't really been that crazy of a hockey season, at least to me, because some of these names signing I'm not all that familiar with, but maybe the typical fan in the hockey community that follows everything hockey, it would be. But we know Alexander Ovechkin. What was the date? We know Alexander Ovechkin signed a new deal with the Capitals back on... What was the date? Okay, so it was like end of July. So the 5-year deal is worth $47.5. It definitely gives Alex Ovechkin time to break Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring record at 894. Ovechkin has 730. Can he do that? That's possible. They also signed a defenseman, or they traded Brendan Dillon, defenseman, just for draft picks. And Ilya Samsonov, who was really their main goalie last year. They're still working on that. We talked about Marc-Andre Fleury going to Chicago. So Tyler Johnson of the Lightning, they traded him to Chicago as well. So Chicago, they've made some moves here. But, I really think that deal was to really kind of save the Lightning some, open up some more money there for him. Paul Stastny re-signed with the Jets as well. So really coming after the draft, we're still sitting here in NHL free agency. for the most part. And, we're still waiting on some different moves to happen here. We know that I talked about the Rangers acquiring Ryan Reeves about a week and a half ago. Brandon Saad, this was a guy as well that maybe the Penguins definitely could add interest in. He had 5 years, $22.5 million deal to join the Blues. That was a guy I've seen some people talk about that would have been good for Pittsburgh. Obviously, as a Penguin fan, obviously. We also have Corey Perry. I honestly don't know who this is, but he signed a 2-year, $2 million deal to really kind of help out Tampa Bay. He's a forward, bottom line guy, so I guess that will kind of establish that. David Krejci, he's going back to the Bruins, finishing his career there. Nick Ritchie, another guy, too, that wasn't qualified by the Bruins, didn't have his option picked up. He's heading over to the Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs are a freaking disaster. I really don't care, dude. They have a lot of good talent, but they're a freaking disaster. They can't win out of the first round. They're a joke. We also know Zach Aston-Reese. We know arbitration, guys under arbitration. There's a handful of guys. Obviously, as a Penguins fan, I was keeping up with Aston-Reese. He'll be back, though. But there's a handful of guys under arbitration here. Just trying to see. Let's see here. Is there anybody that I missed? Tomas Tatar, he's going to the New Jersey Devils. Because they got Dougie Hamilton, which is definitely a good signing there, I think, for the Devils. So they got a Tatar 2-year, $9 million deal. Not bad. He's only 30 years old. He's been in the league for 10 years. Had 10 goals, 20 assists in 50 games last year for Montreal. So New Jersey Devils are definitely kind of up in, they're kind of making some moves there in free agency. Holy smokes. Let's see who else we got here. Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton has signed Darnell Nurse to an 8-year, $74 million contract extension. Can you believe it? Wow, the Edmonton Oilers actually freaking doing something, dude. Holy smokes. Big contract there for Nurse. He's definitely, I think, an overlooked defenseman in the league for sure. Mike Lang, obviously, as a Penguins fan, Mike Lang, he's been calling the Penguins games for 46 years. He actually just retired, so that's actually kind of crazy. 73 years old, so he had a phenomenal career. Elvis has left the building. If you're a Penguins fan, obviously you know that saying. He was definitely a guy that brought that to life. So Mike Lang, best of luck in retirement. It was definitely he's definitely a Penguin legend, that is for sure. Some goalies resigning. Carter Hart resigned, slightly less than $12 million on a 3-year deal. Capitals, Ilya Samsonov. Okay, there we go. So he only got a 1-year contract. I didn't even see them sign him. But last year, though, because that's the thing. He was the starting goalie, and he had a pretty solid rookie year, but the last year he was only limited to 19 games because of COVID. So, the Capitals' goaltending situation with Samsonov and Vanacek, he was acquired in the expansion draft and then traded back to the Capitals. Don't know why. But they're going to battle out for the number 1 position. But I really, honestly, I kind of like the Capitals' goalie situation. The Capitals are an older team, yes, but I do like their goalie situation with those guys. So bringing it back on a 1-year, $2 million deal, that's a freaking steal, man. Rangers their goalie, Igor Shesterkin, got a 4-year deal as well. So, they're sticking with their goalie going forward. And then Jacob Vrana, as of today, has settled with the Detroit Red Wings as he got traded there, I believe, the other year. But this is what I'm saying, man. When it comes to NHL free agency is always the, we know NHL in general is the least most popular sport in America. We know that. NHL is it's big in regards of other foreign countries and stuff like that. And I believe this is the first year that the NHL is going to be on ESPN. So, well, not the first year, but that they'll be back on ESPN. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, man. I've been talking for freaking half an hour straight. But yeah, so, reading that, it did kind of seem like a lot, but, to me, there hasn't really been anything that really stuck out, really outside of, maybe the Ovechkin deal that happened last week or the maybe a couple extensions. And it's just simply, like, that's the thing. If I was, like, a hockey fan in the sense where I'm following every single team and, like how I do with the NFL or even the MLB, then I feel like I would definitely be reporting and focusing a lot more on NHL in regards, because it's all these things are happening. But, as someone who does like the NHL and obviously is a big Penguins fan, the thing is, it's just like, I don't necessarily see all these, I don't see like all these names that I'm really unfamiliar with that are signing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. So there have been some moves in NHL. I don't really think that there's really been anything crazy necessarily going on in the world of hockey like what we've seen with the NBA at all. But, obviously I'll be talking about it if anything big happens in hockey. It's just kind of been some guys re-signing with teams, some extensions, things like that. A couple, big names either re-signing or on the move, but then there's some that are just kind of, not really a whole lot of people are really familiar with those guys, and they're just, getting some decent contracts somewhere. That's really been it in the world of hockey. And also, hockey is definitely going back to 82 regular game season, which is great, and we know that the divisions are obviously going back. The Coyotes are moving to the Central Division as Seattle is taking their spot, I believe, in the Pacific. But that's great, and right now there's even teams and things like that, which is nice. So, like I said, right now, man, I'm hockeyed out. I really am. I'm not sitting here saying I can't wait till the hockey season starts. Sometimes with sports, you need some time. You need that off season and everything like that. But hockey will be starting up here in about another month or two. But I'm just pretty hockeyed out. But yeah, that's kind of really the news, at least over the last week or two, in regards to free agency coming out of the NHL, because that's really all there is. We covered the expansion draft. We went over a little bit in the NHL draft a few weeks ago. So now it's just kind of been NHL free agency, but like I said, it's not like there's been anything crazy going on that we've seen with the NBA. It's just, like I said, just kind of been guys re-signing or getting contract extensions or taking a contract somewhere else. So, like I said, anything going on, we obviously will cover it. But as someone myself, I'm not, some of these guys I'm very unfamiliar with. I obviously don't really follow necessarily. But, maybe some of you guys are familiar with, some of these guys that maybe I might not be. But anyway, like I said, regardless, we'll be reporting it on here and talking about it as much as we can. Now, going in the NFL, talking about contracts, since Josh Allen got a huge-ass contract from the Bills. Now, it was over, I believe, a $200 million deal. Let me get up the specifics. Let's see here. So Josh Allen signed a 6-year extension. Now this kind of contract, how much was the money? 258 with 150 million guaranteed. 250 million guaranteed. This type of contract, we have guys like Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson getting ready for big contract extensions. So obviously Mahomes, nobody's going to top that. But when we look at a Josh Allen and this kind of deal, obviously it needed to be done for Buffalo. But this is definitely going to set up for guys like a Lamar and a Baker. Do I think those guys get anywhere near that? I really don't. I think Josh Allen's obviously much more superior than Baker Mayfield, and he's more superior than Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson, he'll definitely be set up fairly nicely for a good contract. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets over $200 million. It might not be as much as Josh Allen, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets somewhere between 170 to maybe $210 million. Baker Mayfield, on the other hand, Cleveland's obviously going in the right direction. Baker Mayfield had a really good rookie season. He had a terrible second year, and he had a very good second half last year. Baker Mayfield, as a Steeler fan, like I said, I don't like Cleveland. I don't like anybody in the division, obviously, but I'm not going to say things simply out of a disliking for the team. Baker Mayfield's, people can say, and it might be valid. Baker Mayfield's got the best O-line in front of him. He's got a very good running game with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, but you can't take away what the guy did last year. You can't take away what he did in regards to getting Cleveland in that playoff spot and beating the Steelers in the first round. You can't take away from that. You can't. Cleveland has upgraded a defense this year. I didn't think their defense was that good, was anything special last year, but I think with certain additions, it should elevate them a little bit. Now, I'm not sitting here saying Cleveland's a freaking top 5 defense like some idiots out there. They're not. I think you got to wait and see what happens. Could Cleveland finish as a top 10 defense? Sure. But you got to wait and see. You know what I mean? You can't, it goes with any team. When a team can add 2 or 3 guys on offense or defense, and okay, if you want to put them up in a ranking, all right, that's fine, but don't freaking jump the gun on it. You got to wait and see. But with Baker Mayfield getting, whenever his time's up, he's entering his 4th season now, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to pick up his 5th-year option and give him an extension, or if they're going to give him an extension after this year and not pick up that 5th year. You know what I mean? And not wait till after that 5th-year option. I really don't know. Personally, I don't think Baker Mayfield is a guy that's going to carry a franchise for 15 plus years. You know what I'm saying? I don't, because, it's so hard to find guys like that. Growing up, ever since I started watching the NFL, you can look at every quarterback. I started watching the NFL when I was in 5th grade. That's kind of when I started getting into it. And so that was around 2008. So you can look at you can look at every quarterback since 2008 all the way up to now. Okay, how many of those guys have been legit franchise quarterbacks that have carried those franchises all those years? Let's see. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, I guess. I mean, I'm not saying Matt Ryan's necessarily a bona fide Hall of Famer, but at the same time, he's been with the Falcons for all these years. He's took them to a Super Bowl. He's won an MVP. We'll put Matt Ryan in there. Eli Manning we'll put in there. Phillip Rivers, I think, we'll put in there. Because Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers are definitely debatable in regards to Hall of Fame. I've seen people debate them in regards, are they Hall of Famers, are they not, things like that. But at the same time, those are definitely guys that have led their franchises for 15 plus years, you know what I'm saying, and have had a lot of success. So there's them. There's obviously you have Mahomes right now, who's going to be that guy. That's 9. You see what I'm saying? This is my point. And there might be a guy here or there that maybe I'm not saying right now. But this is the point. It's so hard to find guys that are franchise guys like that. Yes, you might find a good quarterback, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're a franchise guy. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be the guy that's carrying the load of this franchise for all these years. It's just so hard to find that. And I don't think Baker Mayfield's that kind of guy. I think Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback, yes. I think that he could have a good career, but I don't view him in the likes of those kind of guys either. So, and you got to wait and see at the same time. It's the same thing with the Josh Allen. You got to wait and see. But I don't know, man. I mean, obviously, if you're a Browns fan, you're definitely kind of hoping, that, you're obviously hoping for Mayfield to stay long-term, I would think. I don't think Baker Mayfield's going to get anywhere near Josh Allen money. I don't. I think this year is really going to be that determining factor of what the Browns do. Now, I think the Browns will definitely extend Baker Mayfield, but I think this year will be that determining factor because Baker Mayfield's been up and down. He's been up and down. And so I think that this year's going to be that determining factor for him in regards of, his pricing and what you think that he might be worth and everything like that. So that's a wait and see kind of thing. But Lamar and Baker Mayfield, those are 2 guys up for big contracts, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes out of it, and if, I feel like depending how they both play this year, that's really going to be the determining factor in regards of, they're going to be $200 million contracts, quarterbacks. I don't know, but it's just, my point is, man, right now, when you look at in the NFL right now, in regards of franchise quarterbacks, okay, Mahomes, Aaron's still there, Brady's still there, Big Ben's still there. You have guys that could possibly be that, like a Josh Allen, a Joe Burrow, a Lamar, but these guys are still really young in their career, and they've had success, they've had successful careers so far, but you have to wait and kind of see how they develop and really what they accomplish, really what they do, Dak Prescott's another guy. Dak Prescott's a good quarterback, but I don't view Dak Prescott in the likes of a 15-plus year guy, That's the thing. Like, it's either, you know what I mean? Like, you can find good quarterbacks that can be your quarterback for a while, but they're not really that franchise guy, if that makes sense. They're not the guy. They're not that guy. So if you guys are understanding what I'm saying, I just have a different standard when it comes to quarterbacks. I have a different standard. You can have guys who, you obviously have your guys that are ass, and aren't going to make it, or maybe you're backups in the NFL. But you have guys that are maybe kind of a bridge quarterback, maybe. They're not bad, but they're like that bridge kind of guy. Maybe you have quarterbacks, maybe you select a quarterback in the draft or sign a quarterback where it's like, yeah, they're good, but they're not that long-term guy, or, they're still not going to be that guy that's going to be 10, 15, 20-year guy for that franchise. It's just hard to come across those guys. And then you have the guys that are that, And there's some guys in the NFL right now where it's just so young to wait and see. Joe Burrow could be that. Mayfield could. Lamar could. Allen could. But it's still young to kind of tell on guys like that, I think. They're good quarterbacks, but you got to wait and see. Deshaun Watson, you got to wait and see, I think. So, I don't know. It's up in the air. It's just my point is it's just really hard to come across, guys that are going to carry your team, carry your organization all that time and have success all that time, you know what I mean, and throughout their tenure and bring a winning culture to that team. It's just hard to come across that. But so Josh Allen got a big ass deal from the Buffalo Bills, and we also got what else was I? Let me see. There was also something else I wanted to cover in the NFL. Okay. There we go. What I do sometimes is I'll jot down notes so I don't forget what I wanted to cover. Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is injured again for the Colts. This happened this past week. His timetable's 5 to 12 weeks. I don't know what kind of timetable that is. So clearly they don't know what the hell is going on with Carson Wentz or really what to expect. Now this sucks. Absolutely this sucks. Now I'm not, clearly I'm a Steeler fan. If you're a Colts fan, this absolutely sucks. If you're a Carson Wentz fan, this sucks. Really, it does. Carson Wentz had a lot of promise, 16, 17, and after that, he's obviously fallen off. But I've been saying, and I think a lot of people have been saying, this is another opportunity for him, change of scenery. He's back with a familiar coach. He's got a good group around him defensively. He's got Jonathan Taylor. He's got Michael Pittman. He's got a Hilton. He's got multiple guys, to work with offensively, much better than he had in Philadelphia. But now, since he has that foot injury, like I said, first of all, I saw this. I'm like, I don't know what kind of timeline this is. But, I don't know. Carson Wentz, I think it's expected he might miss a little bit in the beginning of the year. Now they're starting, they've been having Jacob Eason and another quarterback, I forget his name, kind of take first team reps. I've been seeing people throw out a Nick Foles, possibly, but I don't think if you're Carson Wentz, you want to relive that, having freaking Nick Foles come in and relive that situation. If I was Carson Wentz, I'd be like, no, there's nothing against Nick. I love him, but I don't want to relive that situation all over again. So if you're the Colts, you got to wait and see on Carson and how long he is. But here's the thing. If Carson Wentz is out, maybe, let's say Carson, because right now, okay, so this happened last week. So if it's a 5 to 12 week timetable here, let's say Wentz is out. Let's say he misses like the first 3 games of the year. Okay. Well, at that point in time, I don't really think you got to make a move for a quarterback. See what you can do with Eason, you know what I mean, or whoever you want to throw in there. Now, if Carson Wentz is out a little bit longer, okay, then maybe you do that because you're at a place in a team where you're trying to win your division, and you're a playoff caliber team. You are if you're the Colts. But this sucks for Carson Wentz, man. He just can't catch a break. I think that talent is there. He has a good arm, I think. Philly just wasn't a good spot for him, and he, I don't know how he was personally, how he was mentally involved, and how much he was into it. I really don't know because a lot of times too, your mentality and everything going around you and the situation you're in definitely plays an impact on your play. So I'm one that was the farthest guy of cutting Carson Wentz off. He's been terrible the last 2 years. He's not a good quarterback right now, but I think that there definitely is still stuff there for him, to be a successful quarterback in this league. And I think, definitely Indianapolis is definitely a good spot for him. But this definitely just sucks, and it's just another roadblock, man. He's battled quite a bit of injuries so far in his young career. I don't know. So if you're the Colts, I think it's a wait and see thing. If you're looking at Carson, maybe he's going to be out a week or 2, 3 weeks, maybe that first quarter of the season. I don't really think you got to go out and make a move for somebody. Now, maybe if it's a fairly cheap price, then okay, maybe you do. But if he's out longer term, then you definitely have to. So, I've seen people throw out a Nick Foles. I mean, who else would be out there? I mean, let's go through the divisions here. NFC West, Seattle, no. Cardinals don't have anybody. The Niners, Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, I don't see that. I think the Niners are really committed to him this year. I don't really see that happening. The Rams, no. Vikings, no. Packers, no. Bears, no, not really. They're going to roll with Andy Dalton right now. And Lions, no. Jameis Winston, no. Buccaneers, no. Falcons, no. And Carolina with Sam Darnold, no. Now, Denver maybe could be an option. Now, I know I was going through the NFC divisions here, but Denver just came to my mind. Denver might be an option. They got Teddy Bridgewater, they got Drew Lock, and they got a couple other quarterbacks. But maybe that's an option if you're the Colts, man. Teddy Bridgewater's not a terrible quarterback. He's a journeyman quarterback. I liked him a lot when he was with Minnesota and out of Louisville. But if you're the Colts, maybe you take a flyer. Depending what you see from Jacob Eason and whoever else you got in camp, maybe if you're the Colts, you take a flyer there. Maybe if you're the Colts, you take a flyer for a Bridgewater maybe or Drew Lock for a little bit. If Carson Wentz is out longer term, maybe you do. Because I feel like with what the Colts have would be okay enough to surround a Bridgewater with. Maybe not really Drew Lock. I never liked Drew Lock as a player. I was never big on him. But Teddy Bridgewater, he has a good defense and he has some good talent around him. I think better than what he's got in Denver. So maybe that might be a recipe for success, at least as a Band-Aid till Carson Wentz would come back. I don't know. That's possible. So Foles, okay. Bridgewater, I like that option. Dallas, no. Philly, no. Giants, no. Washington, no. Okay, so cancel out the NFC. Jimmy G's probably the only guy that might stand out, but I don't see that happening. Aside from Nick Foles. AFC, Steelers, no. Well, hey, you can take Mason Rudolph off our back. There you go. You can have him. But Steelers, no. Baltimore, no. Cleveland, no. Cincinnati, no. Denver, we said Teddy Bridgewater, maybe a Drew Lock. KC, no. Vegas, no. Chargers, no. Is Tyrod Taylor still with the Chargers? I don't think he is. But anyway, Tyrod Taylor, no. AFC East, New England, no. Buffalo, no, I don't see that. Jets, no, they don't really have anybody there. And Miami, no. Houston, no, it's not going to be Deshaun Watson. Obviously, you got Jacksonville, no. And Tennessee. I really think, though, I mean, you're limited. If you're the Colts, and even before going through all this, you are limited. If you're the Colts, you're definitely limited in regards of options out there to acquire to be a Band-Aid till Carson Wentz is back. But I think realistically, if you're the Indianapolis Colts, I think realistically Teddy Bridgewater would be the guy to go with. I really do. If Carson Wentz is out longer term, I think Teddy Bridgewater would be the guy to go. You got a defense around him. Now, Denver's defense isn't bad either. But you have a top 10 defense around him for sure. And I think he has better skill positions to work with. And I think he has a better offensive line. But now Quentin Nelson is also out. He got injured in camp. I don't know how long he's out for, but that's another injury for the Colts. So it hasn't been the best offseason for the Colts so far, but they definitely shouldn't be written off. I think it's just a matter of how long Carson Wentz is going to be out for. You definitely need Quentin Nelson in there as well. He's definitely one of the best offensive linemen in the league. But I'm just saying, it just sucks. If you're a Colts fan, yes, it sucks. Carson Wentz, it's unfortunate to see. So fingers crossed that Carson Wentz can get back on the field, because I'm very interested to see what he does with Indianapolis and how much of a different aspect this would be, or, just how much of a better Carson Wentz we would get. You know what I mean? Better, different atmosphere, different place, different scenery. Back with familiar with your head coach, familiarity. better skill position players, so it's kind of interesting to see. Now, I want to talk about, so we have preseason. We have a couple preseason games Thursday, and I want to get in that real quick, just kind of going over the preseason schedule. We got games Thursday all the way through Sunday, which is pretty cool. So we got Steelers and Eagles Thursday, 7:30. We got Washington and the Patriots. I believe that's on NFL Network Thursday. Now, for the Steelers, it came out today, Mason Rudolph, Haskins, and Dobbs going to be the guys. I don't expect many of the starters to play either on Thursday. Philly, I'm interested to see if Jalen Hurts. I'd imagine Jalen Hurts is going to get action, possibly Joe Flacco. New England, I'll be interested to see if Mac Jones, if he's in there. Washington. And then we also got the Titans and Falcons Friday. Bills at Lions. Cowboys at Cardinals. So we have 3 games Friday, which is exciting. And then we got Dolphins and Bears Saturday. And then we also got Broncos at Vikings, Saints at Ravens, Browns at Jags, Bengals at Bucks, Jets at Giants, Texans at Packers, Chiefs at Niners, Seattle at Raiders, Chargers at Rams, and then Sunday on NFL Network, 1 o'clock, we got Carolina and Indianapolis. So you better freaking believe I'll be betting on some games, man, because I wasn't able to in Maryland. It's illegal in Maryland. But anyway, we got a packed schedule this week of NFL preseason, which is great. Yes, it's preseason, but football's back in general, which I'm crazy about, which is amazing. Everybody's happy about it. So we'll see what happens on that. But also, the Buccaneers did say that Tom Brady and all the starters are going to be playing the preseason, the first preseason game. So that's going to be interesting. Tampa Bay going to be looking to repeat. And we can't wait till Thursday night, Tampa Bay in Dallas. That's going to be very exciting. I cannot wait for week 1 of the NFL season. And then going into baseball here, man, there isn't, the trade deadline's come and gone. We know that. But, looking at the standings right now in the MLB, okay, the MLB's trade deadline has probably been the craziest trade deadline that I have been able to witness. But we know the White Sox have already won the AL Central. They're up 10.5 games over the Indians. Indians are sitting at 500. We know the AL East is very competitive. You got the Rays, who have really taken off. Boston was really headstrong there into first place for really all year. Tampa Bay has really come on and really taken control over that division over Boston. Boston is now 4 games back in the AL East, and the Yankees are 6 games back. Now, the Yankees are sitting at 62-50. The Blue Jays are 60-50, 7 games back. So, probably realistically, Tampa Bay and Boston, and I think with how both teams are playing, that's probably the way to go. I feel like the Yankees are just so hot and cold, man. The Yankees, it's like, they'll have really good games. And baseball's the most inconsistent sport. We know that. But the Yankees, it's like, and especially with the moves they made at the deadline, too. You know what I'm saying? Like, they made some moves at the trade deadline also. And getting Gallo, getting Rizzo. Now, Rizzo's out with COVID right now. But nonetheless, the Yankees are still a stacked team. And, just for them, like, they'll be up 1-0 or 2-0, and they'll blow the games. So the Yankees have just been playing very, very inconsistently lately, as they barely won yesterday against the Mariners. So Rays, Red Sox, that's really, I think, kind of the favorable, race for that division. Yankees and Blue Jays are still battling out. They'll be fighting for wildcard spots too. Astros are in first. The Oakland's only 2 games back. Seattle's been having a nice season, but they've they're 7.5 back. They ain't gonna win, but they're still battling. They'll still battle it out for wildcard. Looking at the National League, we got the Brewers obviously in first place. Soul Control first place. You got the Reds sitting at 5.5 back. Other than that, it seems like all the other 3 teams will be missing out on the playoffs. Phillies. Did I not say this 3 weeks ago that the Mets were going to fall apart? They're only 1 game over 500 right now. They got injuries, not playing good baseball. They've been a disaster. We know they acquired Javier Baez, but he sucks though this year. I had a feeling, man, the Phillies were really going to come up and take control of this division. They made a couple trades. They got Gibson from the Rangers as well. Their starting pitching's been very good. So the Phillies are definitely. They're 2 games in front of the Braves for the first, and it's really cool with Atlanta with Acuna going out. I think a lot of people thought Atlanta probably wasn't really going to go much of anywhere, but Atlanta stocked up as well and were buyers at the deadline, and they're only 2 games out of first. And then we got the Giants, who've been in first place all year. They got the best record in baseball, I believe. The Dodgers are 4 back, and then you got the Padres 7 back with Fernando Tatis out, and we don't know how long he is out for. Let's look at the wild cards. Look at the wild card spots. Let's look at who's in the wild card. Come on, come on, come on. Sorry, this is taking a while. All right. Okay, so right now, we got Tampa Bay, the White Sox, and why is this all the way in freaking June? What the hell? Yeah, I want to see it right now, dude. The site had me on freaking June 3rd. Okay, so we got Tampa Bay. We got the White Sox and Houston leading their divisions, as we just went over. Oakland is the first wild card. Boston's the second. We got the Yankees sitting at 2 games back. Toronto sitting at 3. Seattle at 5.5. So that's really what you're looking at. Cleveland's there at 8 games back, but that's a lot of territory to make up. Same with the Angels. So Tampa Bay and Boston, I think that's what we can realistically look at coming down to the wire there for that division. White Sox already got that one, and Houston and Oakland's going to be battling out as well. Oakland's only, I believe, 2 games back is what I said. So you got Oakland and Boston there. The Yankees and Toronto, that's going to be an interesting mix because we look at Houston or Oakland. One of those 2 teams will make one of the wild cards. And then you got Tampa, Boston, New York, and Toronto. All 4 teams in the AL East battling that are going to be battling for the division and also that second wild card spot. So if I'm going to make a prediction here, Tampa Bay's playing great baseball right now. Boston's been playing really good baseball really all year as well. But I've been saying I like Tampa Bay a lot. I love the Nelson Cruz addition. I think they just have really good positional players. We'll go Tampa Bay wins the East. Chicago obviously won. I'm going to say the Astros do win their division. Houston, I mean, I think Oakland, I like Oakland too, but I'm gonna go with Houston. I think more simply just because I think down the stretch, they'll be playing some better baseball, but Oakland made some good moves too, so Oakland could definitely win. I think Oakland gets in as a wild card, and I think Boston will finish off as a wild card. And it's gonna be a disappointing year for Yankees and Yankee fans, which is just unbelievable, man. You have Garrett Cole. Right, you bring in Anthony Rizzo, you bring in Joey Gallo, you have DJ LeMahieu, Gleyber Torres hasn't been very good. You got Luke Voigt, you got Stanton, Aaron Judge. I mean, I don't understand. Let me look up the Yankees rotation here. Let's look at everybody they got. It's unbelievable. And really, if the Yankees don't make the playoffs, you consider firing Aaron Boone? I mean, really, it's unbelievable. Let's look here. Garrett Cole, but he's injured. Corey Kluber, they brought him in, but he's been out all year. But still, Jamison Towns been pitching really good. They acquired Andrew Heaney from the Angels. Jordan Montgomery's out. So, okay, I understand you have a couple injuries there. But still, though, all throughout the year, the Yankees have been very disappointing. People were questioning if they were going to be sellers at the deadline. So, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't help right now having these guys out, but the Yankees have just been disappointing all year. You have Zach Britton. You have Aroldis Chapman. You have Darren O'Day, but he's been out. They acquired Clay Holmes. Gary Sanchez is injured. Anthony Rizzo's out with COVID. But still, you have Joey Gallo, Luke Voigt, DJ LeMahieu. You bring in Rougned Odor. You still have Gio Urshela. Yes, he's injured. But still, I mean, you got a plethora here of positional players. Stanton. You got Gardner. You got Aaron Judge. You got LaCastro, but he's out. So look at these Yankees teams. Yes, they have quite a bit of injuries here, but still, though, the point is all year they've been majorly disappointing. And this was a team going this year that people were thinking, they're going to be up there with the Dodgers for one of the best teams in the league, and they're not. So that's my prediction there for the AL, for the American League. But if you're a Yankee fan, man, I understand that. If you're pissed off, frustrated, I get it. San Francisco is definitely going to win their division, man. They have the best record in all of baseball. I think they're the most surprising team all year. and the addition of Chris Bryant has just been phenomenal for them. Milwaukee, I thought maybe the Reds might try to, really kind of up them. It's, they still can. They're only 5.5 back, but Milwaukee's really taking care of business there in the NL Central. And you got Philadelphia, who I definitely expected to take the leap into first place, and they did, and the Mets went bye-bye. So the Dodgers are in first right now on that other wild card. So is San Diego. Cincinnati's 3.5 back. And then Atlanta is 7. Mets are 2. So Atlanta, New York, they got to win their division to get it. And it's very close with the Phillies and Atlanta. It's only a 2-game swap there. I believe the Mets, what did I say the Mets were? The Mets were like, 4 games back, 3 games back. So that's still going to come down the wire there. But the only way for a team, you got to win your division there. Giants are definitely, obviously, favorites, but the Dodgers are still only a few games, like 4 games behind, I think. So I still think the Giants win their division. They've been playing the best baseball all year, and the thing is with them, they haven't slowed down. We see a lot of times divisional winners will, well, not divisional winners, but we'll see a lot of times teams will take over the division, and then as the season goes on, they kind of regress. We see that a lot, but the Giants haven't done that. They've been consistent. They've been at their best all year. They've been playing very good, so I think Giants take that. Milwaukee, it looks like they have a very good lead over the Reds. We'll say Milwaukee wins the Central, and Philly, I said Philadelphia was going to pass the Mets anyway. Philly will finally win the AL East. And Dodgers and Padres, I think, definitely make the NL wildcard teams. But I think Cincinnati, they might be a year away. I think Atlanta can definitely make a play next year, especially as long as they have some guys under contract that they acquire going into next year. And looking at teams, I mean, St. Louis, I still think that they can make a play next year. Cubs are definitely going to be rebuilding. Colorado, Washington, Miami, Pittsburgh, and Arizona are all going to be at the bottom next year. So I think that's really what you're looking at right now for the playoffs in baseball. But I think the NL East is still up for grabs. You got the American League East, which is going to be very interesting, not just for division, but who's going to make the playoffs out of that. We'll have to wait and see, man. We'll have to wait and see. Dodgers still making a play. Padres are still trying to keep their name in there. So I don't know here. But we're wrapping about an hour on this show, which is definitely a lot longer than I thought, man. But this might be one of my more favorite shows that I did. I think just simply because of everything that we went into. Like I said, there's going to be a good bit to talk about today. But we're going to wrap it up there after talking about the current outlook in MLB. But anyway, I just thank you all for tuning in, listening in, and taking the time to listen to this show. I hope you guys really enjoyed this podcast. This will probably definitely go down as one of my favorite ones I did. Just simply, I don't know, probably just because of everything we went into, man. And it was nice to just really kind of go over everything and get in the nitty gritty of everything that we were talking about. So, but yeah, we're gonna end it there, guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the rest of your guys' weeks. So. Let me see. So we got preseason Thursday, so we'll be back. We'll be back on normal schedule this upcoming week, Saturday. If there's anything interesting that might come out, that breaks, I might do you might see some extra content this week. I don't know, probably not. But if there's something that's really worth talking about during the week, we'll definitely upload it here. So to kind of keep up with the channel, guys, and everything, you can follow me on Facebook at Heintz Sight. Follow me on Twitter at Nate_Heintz. You can follow me on Instagram at Nathan_Heintz to keep up with everything channel, to interact. Leave a like if you'd like to. Subscribe if you'd like to. I definitely would appreciate it. We're just trying to reach more sport fans out there, trying to keep growing this channel. I really appreciate all your guys' support and everything like that. And like I said on yesterday's show, if you're into Pittsburgh sports, definitely go check that out yesterday. That was uploaded yesterday. But anyway, like I said yesterday, with football coming up, I was going to have to readjust my podcast schedule. So what we're going to be doing is Friday, it's going to be around the leagues, talking about everything going on in sports. Saturday, it's going to be strictly Pittsburgh sports. And then, obviously, you got football Sunday, we got Monday night, and then I'll be covering, for all you Steeler fans, I'll be breaking down, the Steeler games either Monday or Tuesday, depending what day they play, and then either Monday or Tuesday as well in regards of, everything that happened in college, in the NFL, and things like that. We'll be covering as well one of those days, depending on the Steeler game. And then whatever the Thursday night game is, we'll obviously incorporate that in a Friday show. So, but anyway, thank you guys again for everything. Like I said, follow me on social media, as I said, as it's also in the link down below and also at the end of the show. keep up with everything. Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought of the show. Let me guys know what you think about everything happening in sports, stuff like that. Everything we went over, we covered. Let me know about that. NBA free agency, MLB standings, the upcoming NFL season. What are your predictions on what's going to go down? Let me know. But we're going to get out of here, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your week. And like I said, keep an eye out just in case we have any content this week. And we'll definitely be back here Saturday. So thank you all again. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the support. And we'll see you Saturday. Take care, guys. All right. See ya.